welcome to a new episode of the New Leaf Podcast. My name is Carmen, and this is my podcast where I talk about all things crochet and knitting and my steps to becoming a full-time crochet and knitwear designer. You can find me on Instagram as newleafdesigns.nl, and my website is newleafdesigns.nl as well. And I will list all of the other things right here. So you can find me on other social media platforms. Lately there's been a lot of talk about this new Vero social platform thing, but I'm gonna wait this one out and see if other people are really excited about it. And yeah, so you cannot find me there yet, but yeah, I'll just wait and see. So a huge thank you to all of you who commented on my last podcast episode, which was all about my new sock design, which I have named now Striped and Stranded with help of a lovely follower on Instagram. I believe she also has a podcast, Braid and Tinker. I haven't checked it out yet, but I am meaning to. So thank you, Melanie, for helping me name these socks. I have finished my pair now. I was working on my second sock in the last podcast, and I have finished them. Here they are. And I'm so in love with these socks. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, but yeah. I really, really like these socks, and I have already worn them. And they are just perfect. They are so warm. The extra layer that the stranded color work provides is just so warm and cozy, and yeah, it really worked out just as I had imagined it. And the pattern is out now on Ravelry. It's called Striped and Stranded. And in that pattern, you will find all the instructions for these socks. They are toe up with a German short row heel and a 1x1 ribbed cuff. Everything you need to know is in the pattern. I also have video links in the pattern to, for example, my tutorial video on casting on the short row heel. All of the tutorial links are in there at the points where you need them. And of course, all of the stranded color work patterns are in there as well. I used a couple of different ones from my first one. So a couple of them I repeated because I really like them, but there are also some new ones, and all of these are in the pattern, so you can mix and match your own pair of color work socks. Oh, and I just love how these worked up. So the yarn I used for the main color is Fab Funky Fibers. It's a self-striping yarn. Fab Funky Fibers is a indie dyer from the UK, and this is her Splash of Sunshine colorway, and I named my version the Walking on Sunshine socks because of that. And this is one of her broad stripes. So the stripes are really wide, and of course they get a little bit wider because of the color work. So, well, I think actually, I'm not actually sure, because for color work you also use more stitches, so the stripes get a little bit narrower, and then you add the contrasting yarn, so the stripe gets a little bit wider. So I don't know what I'm talking about. But I used Fab Funky Fibers as the main color. Then I used Escapius Invicta Extra in this dark green colorway. It's the colorway 1300 for the other color in the colorwork, and also for the heel. And then for the toe and cuff, I used a different color from Escapius Invicta Extra, which is this lovely sagey green or mint green for the toes and cuffs. And I really liked using so many yarns in the same project. I've never used different yarns in the toe than in the heel, so that was nice. This was a lot of firsts for me. I have knit colorwork socks, but not as meticulously planned as this one. So as I was talking about last time, this version is my crazy control freak version, as I have done a different colorwork pattern in each stripe. And that, in order to do that, you need to know how wide the stripe is going to be, and then pick out a colorwork section that goes within that stripe. And some colorwork sections might take more of the contrast yarn. For example, this one. This one takes a lot of the dark green, so it takes less of the main color, and so you can make a wider stripe. You know what I mean? So this colorwork is, I believe, 9 rows, whereas a normal one is just 7 rows. Yeah, but all of the colorwork sections are included in the pattern, and they are categorized by number of rounds, so you can easily find them, and you can just mix and match. Because for my next pair, I'm gonna show you the yarn in just a minute. For my next pair, I'm just gonna start with the colorwork section and just continue on with a new one as soon as the first colorwork section ends, and I'm not gonna pay any attention to the stripes, because I think that will also be a lot of fun, and it will be easier to do that with shorter stripes. Well, that's how I imagine it. So the pattern for these socks is up on Ravelry as we speak. I uploaded it last Sunday. Yeah, and thank you all so much for your amazing support. I have a discount code active at the moment, which is SASKAL, SASKAL 15. Which stands for Striped and Stranded Knit Along, and you get 15% discount. So if you use this discount code, you will get 15% discount on the pattern, and it will be active until March 15th, end of day. I just clicked end of day March 15th on Ravelry, so I hope Ravelry will automatically pick the latest time zone so that it really is effective until end of day March 15th for everyone. Yeah, and I am also gonna host a knit along with this pattern, this Striped and Stranded knit along. It officially starts March 10th. That's 2 days from now when I'm filming this. It might be already started when I publish this episode, because I'm not that fast with editing. Yeah, but I'm gonna be hosting my very first knit along in my Ravelry group, which is the New Leaf podcast group on Ravelry, and I've already opened a chatter thread. I will be opening a finished objects thread later, probably in the next week or so. And so the KAL starts officially March 10th and runs through the end of April, and I might be, that is subject to change. I don't know how how long it will take others to knit this. I knit this in about 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, but you know, I had the yarn handy, and I was just really excited about this project. So I understand if people need some more time, if you know they're waiting for their yarn, or they're just not very experienced with colorwork knitting, you might need some more time. So that's totally fine. Just let me know if you need some more time and I will extend the deadline. But for now, it's until the end of April. The knit along is only for the striped and stranded sock pattern that I have just published, so please don't enter any other socks in there. You may, of course, show other colorwork socks that you've knit in the chatter thread. I don't have any obligations to that, but just for the finished objects thread, you know, you're only eligible if you actually knit socks from this pattern. Of course, there are a lot of possibilities for the actual socks that you'll be knitting, because of course there's the yarn that you can choose, there's the colorwork sections that you can mix and match. If you really like just one colorwork section, just use that one throughout. That's totally fine. I am open to admitting child socks, but since the pattern is not for any other size than adult size, you know, it ranges from European size 35 to European size 47, which is just a large adult size sock range. If you're able to adapt the pattern to child sizes, I have no obligations to you entering those for the knit along. You may have multiple entries. If you knit multiple pairs of socks, just make sure you have multiple posts, like separate posts in the finished objects thread for each pair. Whips are allowed, so if you started knitting a pair before March 10th, you may also enter that one. Double dipping is allowed, so if there's another sock knit along that you'd like to enter these socks into, feel free. What else? Right, although these socks are called striped and stranded, it is not mandatory to use self-striping yarn. I know that it is kind of an expensive yarn. There are some commercial sock yarn manufacturers who do have self-striping yarns, but still it might be out of your budget. So it is not obligatory to use self-striping yarn. You can use 2 solid yarns or multiple solid yarns. You can use solid yarns, I mean solid color yarns, of course. You could use variegated yarns. I think that would be awesome. For example, if you use 2 variegated yarns and then just, I think the color changes will be magical. Yeah, but don't feel restricted in yarn choice. I accept any yarn. You can even make a super bulky sock if you know you have this Aran weight yarn. I'm also taking those socks. It's fine as long as you're knitting it with the pattern. What else? That's pretty much it. So all of the details will also be repeated in the Ravelry thread that I've created. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, please ask, because you know this is my first knit along, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Yeah, but I'm very excited to start my second pair of these and see if my theory of the continuous color work actually works, because you know there's a chance that it doesn't, but you know I think it will work out fine. Yes, and also In the Ravelry group, I have a thread that is called Show Your Makes, where you can show what you have made from my patterns, whether that's a free pattern or some tutorial on YouTube that I have made, or one of my paid patterns. If you have any pictures of the things you made, please post them in that thread. And whenever I have a new paid pattern out, I will pick one person with the random number generator and give them the pattern. And I have already picked a lucky winner from that thread for the striped and stranded socks, and the pattern is already gifted and received. And thank you so much for entering your pictures in that thread. I always love to see them. So for next time, if you post some photos in there of the things that you have made with my pattern, you might be able to win my next paid pattern for free. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Okay, now let me chat a bit more about my second version of the striped and stranded socks that I am planning. Sorry, I'm just moving my sock blockers. So I had quite a lot of yarn left over from my first pair. This ball of yarn from Fat Funky Fibers was originally 100 grams, and I've used about 30 grams of it. I've also used about 10 grams of this contrasting yarn and about 20, I think. About 20 grams of this. But, you know, it's a great stash buster if you have like 20 grams of yarn. I could knit another pair with these. Not even with color work, I could knit a full second pair with these. So that was really exciting. I didn't expect it to use less yarn, but you know, I suppose it's also logical in a way. So I picked some yarn for my second pair. I'm so excited about these. I heard that West Yorkshire Spinners also has some self-striping yarn, and they are a commercial yarn brand. And I thought to also make a pair in commercial yarn, just to show you that it can be just as nice as indie dyed yarn. And I have purchased the passion fruit. Where's the name? Passion fruit cooler colorway. West Yorkshire Spinners have this thing that they named their colorway series, and this one is the cocktail series, and this is the passion fruit cooler. They also have a series on birds, which is really nice, but the cocktail series is all self-striping, so that is really fun. And these solid colors that they have match really well with the colors of the self-striping yarn. But so let me say that again, they match really well. So for example, there's this one, which is called Penny Royal. It also says spice. I'm not sure. So it's this really lovely light lavender purple, and it matches really well with this, but it doesn't contrast as well, since you know, it will be a very subtle contrast if I use these two for a color work sock, because for color work you actually need a contrast color that will stand out with every color that's in the self-striping yarn. So, and because the purple on the left is really close to one of the purples in the self-striping yarn, I'm not sure if I will be using this as the contrast color, but I might be using this for the toes and heels and cuffs. But I think I will be using this one, which is kind of a blush beige, if I can call it that. It's called Cinnamon Stick, but it also has a kind of red undertone to it. And I think that will make a really lovely contrast. I actually asked for help from the shop owner, who is Kim Smith. I met her a couple of years ago at the Molly Makes Handmade Awards in London, and afterwards she went to open her own yarn store, which is crazy exciting, and it's called Alternate Universe, and it's close to Bristol, but it's outside of town. They're at this busy traffic road. I'm not sure if it's yeah, they're outside of Bristol in Cleve, it says on their I got this poster with my order. Yeah, so she has the yarn store, which is awesome. Alternate Universe. You might know it from Amy from Stranded Dye Works, because she has done some trunk shows there. Yes, and Kim is just so lovely, and I would really like to visit her store one day. Yeah, maybe in the near future, I don't know. But so I asked for her help on picking colors, because I know that she really knows her yarn, and she of course has these colors before her in person, so she can help me choose which would be a better contrast. And yeah, so she suggested the Cinnamon Stick with the passion fruit cooler, and I think that will be awesome. And of course, if you don't know which color would contrast well with the variegated or self-striping yarn that you're using, black, white, or gray is usually a safe bet. Just, yeah. I like color better than black, white, or gray, but yeah, black or white usually contrasts really well with any colored yarn. You do kind of have to make sure that it's not the same saturation of color. So if you're using a really light pink and then use the white for a contrast color, it might not contrast very well. So the best thing you could do is take a black and white photograph, or take a photograph, use some editing app or software to convert it to black and white, and see if the colors still stand out from each other. Then you really know. Or you can just make a swatch. So I'm really excited to get started with these. They are, let me see, 75% wool and 25% nylon. And in the 75% wool, there is 35% blue-faced Leicester. So this is going to be really strong, hard-wearing sock. And yeah, West Yorkshire Spinners, it's kind of a local UK yarn. So, and I've never tried it, so I'm really excited for that. Yeah, so that will be my project for the knit along. And I'm really excited to see which yarns you will pick for your socks. I had a suggestion about the Grundle Heart Socks yarn. They also have some self-striping colorways, and they're also a commercial sock yarn, so also budget friendly. So I've put a link in the Ravelry KAL chatter thread to some self-striping yarn brands, so you can see if a store near you stocks that yarn. And of course, if you're across the pond in America, there will be loads of options for you, because I mean, you have that Nitpicks Felici yarn, right? I'm not sure. I heard that it might be discontinued. That would be the stupidest thing ever, but yeah, but there might still be a lot of those yarns in stock, and those seem perfect for this project. And of course, there's an abundance of indie dyers in America, and yes, they have the best self-striping yarns, and I wish I could get my hands on those, but alas. No, in Europe we have a lot of indie dyers who do self-striping yarns too. It's just it started a lot later than in America, so yeah, we're just catching on. All right, I have one prize for the KAL already available, and that is a full set of the original sample yarns to make your own pair. So I have another ball of A Splash of Sunshine by Fab Funky Fibers, and I will get 2 new balls of these colors and make a nice package for the winner, so you can make the exact same version as I did. That's the only prize I have at the moment. If you are willing to donate a prize, everything's welcome, so please message me if you have a nice prize that you are willing to donate. Yes, thank you very much in advance. What else? Right, I have one more thing to say about these socks. Apparently I can't stop talking about them. So, as you noticed, I have used different colorwork patterns for the first as I used for the second. And what that did was that I have only 9 stripes in this sock, whereas I have 10 stripes in this sock. And that's because for the first one, I used colorwork patterns that resulted in narrower stripes. And for the second sock, I used colorwork sections that resulted in wider stripes. So at the end, you know, the second one is a little bit shorter, but yeah, just it comes to about halfway up the last stripe on the first sock. But yeah, so it was either 9 stripes and come like relatively close, or 10 stripes, so the exact same number of stripes, and you know, I have a longer sock. So yeah, I've decided I don't really care. Yeah, but so if you are looking to create socks at an even length, because I didn't want to end a stripe halfway through, you know, that would seem really weird. So if you're looking to have the same length of socks, then I would suggest to use the same colorwork patterns in both socks, or at least kind of try to get them of the same width each time. But yeah, I think that will be a lot easier with my second pair, because I won't be paying attention to the stripes, so I won't be as invested in them. So yeah, I'll see how that works. But I just wanted to show you that you might have noticed on the pattern pics that one sock is just like a centimeter longer than the other, and that is why. Yes. Okay, end of sock talk. Now I'm gonna move on to, I don't want to show you too much, to my next, well, it's not a work in progress anymore, but it's also not quite a finished object. But as many of you know, for the past almost 2 years, I have been knitting on the Piccadilly Shawl by Justina Lokowska. I picked this pattern up at Loop March 2016 with the yarn, and I started in June 2016 while I was on holiday, and then I left it for a few months, and then I picked it up again last year in June, and then I kind of worked on it off and on, and then the last month or two, I've been really knitting on this one. And I am pleased to say that I have finally finished all of the knitting. Yes. So I was stuck on the knit border for a very long time. Yes, I don't even know how long. I think, yeah, a couple of months. And last time I recorded, I was at that rock stitch marker right there. So right here. And then the past 2 weeks, I have knit from here all the way to the end. Oh wow, that is a lot, isn't it? I worked on this pretty much every day, and to keep myself motivated, I have put on a new progress keeper every morning. Because I usually did work on this in the morning. I get up about 2 hours before I go to work, and I have approximately 1 hour of knitting time, which is very nice. Yeah, so I put on a new marker every day. So some days I knit a lot. This marker keeps flipping. It's a cute cat marker. And some days I just did a little bit. For example, here, I just knit a few rows in the morning. And then yesterday, I did a particularly large chunk all the way to the end. And it feels good to finally have the knitting done. I was kind of panicking because in the 5th row, and the yarn kind of split. You can see a fuzzy bit here. So the yarn was dangerously thin, but usually, you know, I tugged on it and it didn't snap. Usually when I then knit the thin yarn into fabric, it will just be very strong. So yeah, and I only had 5 more rows to go, so I didn't feel like snipping the yarn and attaching it again. I don't know. Yes, so all that is left now is to wash and block this thing. I have finished it last night, and I really wanted to block it because, but otherwise I couldn't show it on the podcast properly. So yes, I look forward to blocking this right after I finish recording. I'm a bit worried about the top edge because and for me, like crescent shawls always have this. There is this little bump, this little, well, there's this fabric that just folds over. I don't like that, but I'll see if I can block it out. I haven't been able to do that before, but you know, I might be able to do that this time. But where the border attaches to the body of the shawl, there's also a, an angle. And I'm not sure really what to do with that. If I should just, have a straight top edge and then have this just at a different angle, or kind of try to get it straight. I don't know. I'll see what the fabric does. If it's, wet and relaxed, I'll just see what the fabric wants to do and go from there. But yeah, I'm not really happy about that. And I've tried to see what they're doing about it in the pictures, but they're kind of obscuring it. So I can't figure out how to block it. But oh, do they actually have instructions on that? No. Block out to measurements in a crescent shape. Yeah. Well, I'll just wait and see. I think it will be pretty either way, but I have to be, yeah. I think it will work, but then I will have kind of floppy fabric here, whereas if I stretch it this way, maybe the border will also be, prettier. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see what to do about that. But yeah, I'm really, really glad that this is finished. Well, not finished, as Katie would say, but almost finished. So I'm so excited about this. Yes, so I will show you next time the finished version, blocked, dried, and hopefully pretty. So while I was working on the last few repeats of my Piccadilly shawl lace border, I was not only motivating myself by putting a new stitch marker or a new progress keeper on the project every day, I was also motivating myself by rewarding myself with a few rows of knitting on a new project. And that project is my Spindrift Shawl, which is patterned by by Helen Stewart from Curious Handmade. So it's a Spindrift shawl, and it's a simple crescent-shaped stockinette shawl with eyelets on the edge. And it's a one skein project, so it should be really quick. And it's looking like a giant burrito right now because it keeps rolling over on itself. And I have used a very simple texture pattern on the surface of the shawl. So I have some eyelets here. And yeah, I'm just using slip stitches and purl stitches in a way to create this texture pattern. And I'm really liking it. The yarn I'm using is Twisted Finch in the BFL sock. Yeah, the BFL sock yarn. And this is the Sky colorway. It's this golden honey mustard yellow. It's beautiful. And I had originally ordered this yarn to go with another skein of Twisted Finch, but then I saw this pattern, and my mom is also knitting a Spindrift shawl, and I really wanted to make one myself, so I looked in my stash and I saw this skein or this color, and I thought, yes, I want a shawl with this color. Because one color shawls are just very easy to just grab and you know, they just go with an outfit. Whereas for a multicolored shawl, I don't know, I feel like the outfit needs to be very simple, whereas a one color shawl can just be another accessory, and the outfit itself can already be like not loud, but you know, it doesn't have to be super simple. You might also say the more color something has, the better it will go with something, and you know. But yeah, I like one color shawls, and at the moment I only have one, which is a red one, and I don't really wear red, but it seems to work with a lot of outfits I wear. So I thought I would change it up and use this mustard yellow for a new one. And oh, I'm just loving this color, this pattern, the stitch definition. I love that it's not pooling. Yeah. And I hope it will kind of be big enough to be an actual functional shawl or shawlette, and because if it's too small, I might want to add a tiny border to it. So I might end up with a two-tone shawl after all, but yeah. I'm hoping that I'll have enough yardage to make a satisfactory shawl from this. I am using my ChiaoGoo 3mm needle, and usually with ChiaoGoo it says the US size on the needle as well. Right, so 2.5 it says, so that might be US 2.5 size. So 3mm, the pattern calls for a bigger needle, but I don't know, I don't really like a loose gauge with shawls. Well, my gauge isn't actually that loose, but I'm a loose knitter, so I have to go down a needle size, and I think if I block this, it will open up. It will open up more, because I made the mistake with my Piccadilly shawl to go up a needle size for the up a needle size from the pattern, because it felt like a better fabric when I swatched it. But 2 years ago I did not block and wash my swatches, so yeah, I hadn't figured that a superwash yarn might grow immensely. So yeah, so I'm keeping I'm sticking with the 3mm for this one. I am finding that the edge is really tight, and again, the familiar shawl bump right there. I just hate that. I don't know what to do against it, but so from about here, I have on every row I have started, you know, you just knit the first 3 stitches, but I just knit one, I do a yarn over, and then I knit the next 2, then I go back and drop the yarn over so that the edge stitches have a little more length to them, so they don't necessarily have more stretch, but you know, I can maybe block them to be a little bit longer. So I hope that will kind of solve the tight edge that I have on this. Yeah, but it's been a very enjoyable project. I think I have been knitting on this for a week now, and it's already, you know, it's quite big. It's, you know, that many rows. I have about 65 grams left. So yeah, we'll see how big this one gets. Yes, but I'm really looking forward to this. yeah, I'm really looking forward to wearing this and experimenting more with the stitch pattern. I'm really loving that. So yeah, it's just all kinds of fun, this project, but also really relaxing. So that's just really nice. That is not all that I have been working on. I also have 3 secret projects that I can't show you, but I have been working on. Right, so I am really looking forward to casting on my second pair of striped and stranded socks. And I look forward to participating in my very own knit along, and I hope you are too. Please go check out the chatter thread if you're interested in taking part, and yeah, let's make this first KAL a success. Yeah, I'll link to everything you need to know in the description box on YouTube. So if you're watching on mobile, you need to click a little triangle for it to open up. And on desktop, it will be obvious because there will be a little bar with show more or something. Yeah. Right. I think that's all I have to say for this episode. I don't have any crochet projects this week, but there might be next time. I don't know. I'm kind of in a knitting phase right now. Yeah. Right. Yes. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you again next time. Yes, have a very crafty couple of weeks. I hope you participate in knit along, and see you again very soon.